I would say the door to fairy. Yeah, I was leaning towards when they're talking about it being a door. I was thinking something like that. Nerdcore is correct. Shaper's name is spelled Rawin. Yeah, I mean, I understood where they were going with it, but I think, yeah, the spelling was different. Yes, his cloaks. Yeah, that's what I thought. That was an interesting take, because I hadn't thought about it. I hadn't thought about the fact that we don't know who the 7th Shaper is. But if each of them have their own, it would make sense that it might be beast folk. So that could be, you'd think like Tayor would bring that up, right? So, guess we will see. Guess we will see. Murray was the one with the 26. Was it Murray's role? Oh, I thought it was Azune's that I got all juiced up. But I guess I just knew somebody. I knew somebody, like everything was given. Oh, because Azune gave them guidance, I think. Azune gave Murray guidance. So I think it was guidance from Azune, help from Belair, and the Bardic from Hal. It was a full team effort. Connor says, I thought it was interesting that the Arcanaut was previously an important religious site. Maybe could be used for a powerful ritual of some sort in the future. A lot of the things were. It's same thing with the Hallow Round that they're at now. It was the same thing. At one point, it was a site of importance for religion. Pirates says, I still want to know who's on the Revolutionary Council. Tough to separate friend from foe when they don't know who's in charge. Fair, yeah. Kanogal says, I can't see him caring about any other places. Dano says, the one Shaper we don't know is the Shaper of the Beast Folk, right? Yeah, if we're assuming, so I don't know if they've outright said there's a Shaper for the Beast Folk, but we're kind of tying it to, okay, we know the Halfling one, we know Human one, and we know the Elf one, right? We know the Dwarf one. So I think people are just kind of filling that gap and going, oh, if there's a 7th one, it must be for them. Yeah. Oh, yo, what's up, Famine? I meant the Hallowed Round. Yeah, that's what I was like, Arcanaut. I don't remember that, but I also was like, yeah. Daniel says, the Beast Folk Shaper was mentioned in last week's cooldown, I believe. Oh, see, I didn't see that. I got into it late, so I didn't end up watching the cooldown because I didn't finish. I was very behind this week. Very, very behind on everything. So my recap didn't come out until like late Monday afternoon, and then my review didn't get to come out until yesterday. Very, very busy stuff. So I didn't get to catch up on most things. And then it's one of those things where, like, when something, kind of disrupts and 2 or 3 days are spent, in hospitals and everything else, you come back and you're like, oh my God, I'm right back to where I started. Like, it blew my mind that, like, I published a review yesterday, and then today I was right back to doing the pre-show and watching a new episode. I was like, God, I just start over again. And I had to prep and run my own D&D game yesterday. So it was just a whole fiasco. Let's see. Biko says, oh, work has me all discombobulated. It is Thursday. It is. So glad I caught this. And is the Einfasen on the guard the same Einfasen from Riesengard? It's the same family, the Einfasens, but this guy I think is probably like, I feel like we've been told, but I don't remember if it's like the nephew. I don't know if it's the son, but it may be like a nephew of Lord Einfasen, which is who we met in the other group, or with the Seekers. He's the head of the Einfasens, Lord Einfasen. Herondis is not. He's just like who's running things here right now with the guard. Yo, what's up? Yet it is bidet. Stormsea says, I know in your reviews you've mentioned liking the Schemers, but do you feel like there's a lack of action at all? I personally have been finding it hard to keep as much attention on the Schemers episodes. I have found that so for me, I like to watch Dungeons and Dragons. The Seekers did not feel like Dungeons and Dragons to me, and it felt too slow. It felt, even though there was more combats, it still felt, whenever there wasn't combat, I've said it a million times, hushed voices, slow talking, like everything was serious all the time. The Schemers are a little more lighthearted. There's more NPC interactions. They do more above the table and in-game interactions with each other that are both fun and serious. So do I hope that there's a combat tonight to kind of spice things up and give us a little action? Yes. Do I think that we've still gotten some fun action in the form of some, confrontations amongst NPCs and players? Yeah, I still think we've gotten some. But for me, I am enjoying the Schemers more I'm not sold on whether or not I'm enjoying the schemers more than I did the soldiers, and I don't know if I will, because the soldiers still just had the best NPCs that kind of helped that. And they had a really good variety between Wiccan Tyranny, and then you had like Cadigan being the gruff guy here, Thimble really seeking that revenge, Tayor kind of being a middle ground, and having some fun interactions with NPCs. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff with that. Is the illusionist dead or alive? Alive is what my bet is. I think that's gonna be a big part, is that they're on a hunt, right? The group is going to be looking for them, as well as the Tachonis or the Halovars or the Einfasen, right? Like everybody's looking for Demodus Blix. So we'll see. Well, they saw his candle go out, Jason. So you got to keep that in mind. I mean, I believe that he is alive, but hey, you never know. Famine says, random DM question, but party's level 10 with a sorcerer, wizard, bard, paladin, and a monk. Think beholder is too much. I mean, that's going to also depend on, are they experienced players who kind of know good actions to take? And do they have gear that is at least equivalent or better than their level? Then why not? Cameron says, prediction. There will be a combat this episode, but it will occur toward the end of tonight's episode. And it will bleed into the beginning of next week's episode. Oh, you're being super specific. Not only will it happen at the end of this episode, but it will bleed into the next episode. I dig it. I dig it. Use Beholder, they will love the challenge. Eero says, I hope we get Thimble in the cold open. I miss her. Who did we get last week? Oh, we got freaking Valus and Octus last week, which I didn't love. But we haven't seen Thimble in a while. We saw her when it was both her and Tayor in the first Soldiers cold open after we left them, right? Devore on TikTok is asking me about the evil subclasses. Why is it populating twice? Loki didn't watch the full vid. Devore, that hurts my algorithm, brother. Watch the full freaking vid. No, it's 2024. It's 2024. But you might be able to use some of them, right? You might still be able to use the new one back playing 2014. But no, the new 4 villain classes are probably going in the Ravenloft book or the Champion season, but they will come out later, and they are 2024. Anything that's coming out now is not 20. Nobody's publishing. Like Wizards of the Coast is not publishing 2014 content. They're going to publish 2024. I miss Thimble too. Yeah, it has been a while. Daniel says we are due for a Thimble cold open, but they seem to be hiding her. We might get Julian and Taisha this time. Yeah, that's true. We might. Why is it showing all the TikTok messages twice? I don't know why it's doing that. In terms of combat, Mama Hunt says the reason they could be so specific is because pattern recognition. Oh, from Cameron saying that. Gotcha. I was like, I was so confused there for a second. In terms of Azune, Parody says Azune put himself at serious risk. He was a lieutenant in charge of the investigation into Palazzo's Divinos incident, and House Tachonis was suspect him of creating evidence. Very true. Very true. Which I think he's aware of as well, right? Like he was willing to sacrifice himself when it was about freeing Theosy, and it feels like he's willing to sacrifice himself for this too. Jason says, I saw a breakdown of the Pestilence Cleric from Inside Check's channel. Sounds pretty fun. Yeah, I did one as well, but I did it like vertical style, like for TikTok, and it was like 4 minutes long, and you can't upload shorts if they're over 3 minutes. And yeah, so it didn't make it to YouTube Shorts for the breakdown, but it does seem cool. JMO says, do you think the planting evidence in the last session is going to come back and bite the schemers in the butt? I wonder how Tachonis are going to respond and if they will take action against Otto. I think it depends on who knows what first, right? Like if the Tachonis find out before action is taken against them, then yeah, maybe it turns sour. But like if it's planted, the Tachonis don't know, the Einfasens are filled in about it, they start to make some plans in the background with others, then maybe not. But yeah, I would say if the Tachonis find out ahead of time, then they'll be working to actively like thwart the evidence against them, right? Or get rid of those who made the claims, right? No witnesses. TikTok's so nice it spams you twice. Yeah, it seems that way. Yo, what's up, Bull? Welcome in. Connor says, the schemers' schemes are terrifying me. Everything feels so dangerous. I mean, it has to, right? Like, they're in the midst of the city. You know, there's a lot of big, powerful people there. And they're scheming against those big, powerful people's families. So there's no doubt that there's some big risk throughout all of it. And, I mean, you just hope that when they actually do engage with any of them, it won't be the big dogs, right? Like, it'll be people that they've sent. But it's interesting because you think at some point there would be you think they would have to run, right? You would think the schemers at a point would need to leave, because if they're found out at any point, right? If at any point people are like, oh, it's freaking Hal who's behind this, or it's Belair, or it's, whoever, that they can't stay in the city. They can't fight the houses by themselves. Like, they can't take on the Tachonis by themselves. So I'm wondering how Brennan's going to toe that line of making it so, like, they're not just killed. Like, yo, what's up, Allie? Welcome in, welcome in. Don't have TikTok. Yeah, no, it's totally fine, Jason. Yeah. I was just saying, I did also dive into that one. I plan on doing one for the rest as well. Pirates on Azune says, who's speaking on his behalf on the Revolution Council and why? Well, I think it's the Halovars. Potentially because the meeting he had with the guy in front of House, he was like, oh, are you a member, blah, 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 of the Kinetic Creed? And he played it off like he was. And then the Einfasen guy mentioned that somebody thinks that you're religious or whatever. Ash, thank you for the subscription. So I'm pretty sure that's why. I think it's the Halovars, because they're under belief that he's kind of like one of them to a degree. That's where my mind's at with it, at least. Felonious is the one, yeah. Storm Seas says, it also feels like they're starting a lot and recruiting lots of people, but I'm not too sure what their end goal is. Will they get guard to turn against the Sundered Houses, Citizen Revolt? Well, a lot of the guard have been dropped. Like, they either were let go or they resigned. So they're trying to get a lot of those people to join them, even though a lot of them ended up jumping into the Halovars sort of militia. And why would they be getting the militia? Well, we know they're also trying to take over Timony. So maybe they're trying to build a force for that, right? There's a lot of stuff at play. There's a lot of stuff at play. Jason says, oh wait, Yet It Is says, I think with less combat, they probably have to find more drama through other means to keep things interesting. Love it. Yeah, no, and they have. They've had some interesting stuff happen, but I mean, they're gonna get combat. Like, I don't think they're playing D&D without combat. So I'm pretty sure they're still gonna fight. Jason says, I can't wait to see Hal's meeting with the Photarch. He's too much of a public figure to avoid it for long. Agreed. Because they can just show up at the Hallowed Round, right? They can just be like, hey, we know you work here. Like, you're running the show. If anything, we just have to wait for like 7 more days and your performance will be on, so. Biko says, query, was Azune's comment about the Aussie was a bad guy? It was just Azune talking about Einfasen, or does he really have a chip on his shoulder about the Aussie? If he does, I don't know what the heck is happening. To me, I even in my recap, I think was like, he came up with this crazy lie where he claimed the Aussie was like, I'm gonna kill your families if you don't listen to me, and I did this terrible thing and did all this sort of stuff, and I'm like, okay, he's making that all up, like to say he hated the Aussie. He was like, I was there to watch him die. It has to be a lie, because Azune was part of the plan to save him. So, and has continued to talk to all the people who were trying to save him and broke into tears about trying to say, like, I don't know. So to me, that definitely felt like it was him lying to the Einfasen more than anything else. They confirmed in the cooldown that it was the Halovar guy. I'm blanking on his name, though. Okay, Felonious, I believe Daniel said. Candle asked, did we have a Seekers cold open last week? Yes. Yeah, it was Valus and Octus talking to each other a little bit and then talking to Tersha's undead head, where they learned basically nothing. Priority Steve about Hal and the Halovars. Why are they interested in speaking to him? Maybe calling him in a favor for gifting the hallowed round, or was that the Tachonis? No, I'm pretty sure it was the Halovars who gave it to them. I think I said this last week. I'm pretty sure they want to talk to him because he might know where Wick went to. Like, Wick was at the funeral and all that stuff at Hal's house. He met Tayor at Hal's house, right? Like, there's just quite a few things. I feel like they want to ask him what's going on. And it could be more than that. Don't get me wrong. There could be other meanings, but, like, that's what pops into my head. Bull says, do you have to be a member in order to celebrate Candle Feast? I don't know that you have to outright be in the Condescent Creed, but I imagine that's where it stems from, right? Like, somebody might be having a Candle Feast party and you can attend even if you're not, right? But yeah. Daniel says, last week was the Seeker's Cold Open. Yep. The animatic for this week is the flashback with Belair and Demodus. I loved the thing where he gave him coin, and then when he saw him again, it was like Belair's Theater of the Performing Art or something. I loved that. I thought that was so fantastic. Scott says, also welcome in, Scott. What I am enjoying about the Schemers is that they do have to walk this fine line. It is a very different type of D&D campaign. We do not get to see that type of story very often. Yeah, but I mean, it's like they're always just like one step from something where it's like they can't, like, how do they recover from that? You know, it's one thing that I don't know that I would ever want to deal with as a dungeon master, of not wanting the game to end, not wanting to TPK, you know, those sorts of things, but also being like, that's how this works for this, right? Like, because, I mean, they are so close to death at all times almost with what they're trying to do. Has it been a full day since Murray got her homework assignment? It's the night of. They were at the hallowed round the same night that she was given the papers and stuff like that. Last week's episode was just a day. Like, it was like start to finish of a day. Basically. Hey, Daniel, thank you for the super chat, $5 super chat. Hal is setting up his network with the woman who works for the Einfasen. We know what the Einfasen do to spies. How is he going to recruit her? That's very true. What if she heard about... Also, it turns out, because I had thought that he was getting a spy who was also at the same Lord Einfasen compound in Riesengirdle, but it's not, right? Didn't they say it's he knows a person who is in Damakiar who works for the Einfasen? So... they actually get to meet. They're supposed to meet tonight. So we'll have to see what happens. Storm C, am I misremembering, or did the Halovars at some point mention wanting to walk back giving the hallowed round to Hal? I don't know that they said that, but I know the Einfasens are trying to maybe disrupt that because maybe they think this has something to do with the Halovars, so the Einfasens are like, double check the paperwork, like be all on top of him. Maybe because they're trying to be against the Halovars, and the Halovars gave this to him, but who knows, right? Pirate says, hard to know what'll happen when we don't know what the Sundered houses actually believe happened to House Royce, and if multiple houses were in on the massacre. Yeah. There's just so much as the audience we don't know, which is cool, but also makes it so hard to be like, what does this mean? What does that mean? Also, the vertical feed on YouTube is not populating in my chat. So Maria, hello. BA, hey, how's it going? Sorry I didn't see your chats, guys. Unfortunately, this chat thing it's broken every other day. So I'm trying my darndest, I promise. Okay, I think I can get it though. All right, I think I have the chat working. So if you are on the vertical feed, if anybody, it says there's 5 on the vertical YouTube, say hi. Somebody say hi so I know if it's working. Yo, what's going on, Astro Panda? Daniel, once again, thank you for that super chat. Really appreciate it. When do they have a weekend in Damakiar? They need to have some extra time for sneaking around. Yeah. We don't know the full schedule. We know what there was, like Farmer's Day. I think they're currently on Farmer's Day. So I don't know Yeah. What the actual thing is. Mama Hun says, if you remember the flashback when Azune was recruited as a child because of the war, everyone was starving and the chance to get into the army was the most likely way that they could survive. Yeah, agreed. And then, so it's so interesting because it feels like, didn't they say though that the first town that they got contracted in, like the people who recruited him, I don't remember their name off the top of my head, that they ended up leaving him and that's how Thiazi found him? They didn't give a lot of details other than like he got left behind. It felt like the group still took his sister, but he got left behind, and then Thiazi picked him up. Cool. So we should get a fighters cold open. I'm guessing that's soldiers, which means we could get Thimble. Yeah, I think a lot of people are thinking Thimble. Thimble should be who we're getting tonight in a cold open. I mean, you never know, but it would make sense in terms of we haven't seen them in a while. I'm new here. How you doing, guys? Yo, what's up? We're gonna call you Schnee. Welcome in. Happy to have you. Hope you like Critical Role. We know that Azune is more Sorcerer than Paladin. We do know that. He did confirm he is more Sorcerer than Paladin. So he's level 2 Sorcerer, level 1 Paladin at the moment. I'm also curious because without a combat, I'm wondering the frequency of which, I mean, because he's going to have them be caught up, right? Like, I'm pretty sure Brennan's not going to have the schemers just, like, not leveling. So I'm curious when he's going to be like, you guys are leveling up. When, like, they haven't done a combat and there hasn't been, like, even a skill challenge, really. There hasn't, right? Like, it would just be like, you guys are just playing. Like, you've just done some role play. You've had some conversations. Congrats, you leveled up. That's interesting. That's not normally, you know, like, that's a very different way of playing Dungeons and Dragons. To be like, and it's not even like there's been massive, crazy breakthroughs. The one thing I would say I could give them credit for off the top of my head is what Murray and Belair did to convince Grotto of that. Like, that could be like, oh, that was like a good little milestone moment. Right. Azune was left on the street when he met Thiazi. Yeah, that's what I thought. Bull says, I think it's gonna be a flashback for the cold open. I can see that, a flashback with Thiazi, with Thimble. Here, let me see if I type in that chat if I'll do it, because we did. Nice. All right. So I think all the chats are working now. At least I hope so. Dream Shooter, thank you for liking the live over on TikTok. Appreciate that. Thank you. Big Bunky says, I'm an episode behind, so I won't be hanging out. Just want to show some love. I appreciate it, Big Bunky. Thank you. And go ahead and get yourself caught up. Get yourself caught up so you can hang out with us and chat about it. Where is the TikTok chat? How do I see it? Let's see. It was wild to see Louise switch from weeping over Thiazi's death to denouncing him as a war criminal. Very schemery. Oh, I'm pretty sure by far he's been the one moving on the scheming part the most. Like, I think that there's no doubt that Azune has been the one who's like, yo, this is the plan. This is what we should do. Here's my idea. Let's do this. Let's come up with this. I wouldn't trick these people in this way. He's been the one leading the charge on the scheming. There's no doubt about that. Azune has undoubtedly been the one who is like, yeah, let's make this thing happen. Is anyone excited for Travis running another one shot? Are you talking about the live show? Astro says, yeah, I think Louise mentioned that Azune was left on the corner that Thiazi found him on for at least one day. Yep. Party Steve says, looks like Merchants Day and Priest Day are next up, and they line up with Saturday and Sunday, it appears, so a weekend's in sight. Whew! Living for the weekend, baby. The schemers are living for the weekend. Yeah, that should be cool. My buddy lives in Texas, and there's a part of me that is considering, if there are still tickets, maybe going out there and us going to that. That could be pretty cool. According to the timeline, the schemers are still only on day 4 in the game, which is kind of crazy. Since you asked it as part of the recap thumbnail, where do you think in the world is Demodus Blitz or Blix? So I did that because I don't know, maybe I'm old, but the where in the world is Carmen is it Carmen Sandiego? Now I can't remember. For any of you who are also my age or older, there was that whole play on that. You know, it was like a little show and there was a game. And so I tried to play on that, like, where in the world is Demodus Blix? But, yeah. I think he's in hiding. Yeah. I don't know where, but I think he's in hiding. Mitchell, that's my answer. Conjuration and Necromancy. Anyone else immediately think back to the undead horde conjured from beyond the veil at Plaza Divinos? I did not, but I could see it. I could see it. Carmen San Diego, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. So that's what I was trying to do with that title. Carmen San Diego is peak. Yeah, what's up, Mr. Delicious? Connor says, I'm also old. It was indeed Carmen San Diego. That was thought too. Yeah, so he's definitely in hiding. I just don't know where. Is it episode 2? You think so? He's hanging out with the escorts? I'm also curious, like, what they told him, because he doesn't seem like a bad person, right? So I'm wondering if Demodus was tricked to doing the illusions, because, you know, maybe he believed, yeah, they went to Fairy and I'm going to put on this, like, show, or I'm going to, you know, like, why? Why was he willing to do what he did? The illusions and stuff. That's what I want to know. Why was he willing to do it? Connor says, in reference to the Conjuration Necromancy, I also immediately thought about Plaza Divinos Horde. There you go. Yeah, my mind wasn't there, but clearly other folks were. Tessa, what's up? Welcome in. Here early, and instead of taking a nap, I'm on the treadmill for this chat and campaign for a sweater. Am I the only one who fell asleep during the last episode from exhaustion? I, not gonna lie to you, I watched 20 minutes that night, and then I had to watch it across several days. But it wasn't because of the episode. Yo, what's up, Rick? Again, I know you're normally in the horizontal chat, so just remember, if you click on my channel, there'll be 2 live streams, and you can click the one that doesn't say vertical, and you'll be able to see all the chat and all that stuff. So I'm thinking undead horde emerging from the paint during the play's opening night to harvest souls. That would be, why would the Aussie have given them that? Like, why would the Aussie be like, yo, give Hal the paint? Undead horde's gonna come out in the middle. Like, what? In terms of Demodus, where do you have copy with Belair? Wouldn't it be a hoot if he just showed up at the 7 stars? It's like, hey guys, this is where we hang out, right? I love the last episode. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't like it as much as I liked the first episode of The Schemers, but I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed it quite a bit. If there is a war in the realm after death, potentially painting the intention of the revolution might be a way to bring Thiazi back from dead. It could explain why Thiazi was so confident. Yeah, I think that whatever, because again, I still think Mara was the Falcon that was in the sky that came back. She probably said something to him, and then he was like, oh, my only option right now is to die to do what I need to do. Because she was trying to get to the underworld, right? She was trying to get there, and it didn't work or something like that. What if he was like, oh, I have to die now? To complete our mission, I have to die. And so he did. I wonder if that's kind of where my mind's at. I do wonder, like, I don't think Thiazi's gone. I think we could get more Thiazi. Yarn, welcome in. Murray said he was high intelligence and low wisdom, so that tracks. Yeah. Jason says, I think Blix figured out the deception at the palazzo and illusioned himself away into hiding, but not before he did some of the work himself. Because that, I mean, he did the candles and all that sort of stuff, so there's no doubt that he played a part in hiding things. Can they bring Gene says, can they bring back Octus to fully human? No, they cannot. Now maybe that's something that can happen, like if a god comes back or something, like, but like right now that sort of resurrection stuff doesn't exist. Like you can't do that in this world. And yeah, I don't know, like he wanted to be a hallowed one, but again, maybe if the gods come back, that's something. But in the current state of the world, as far as we've been led to believe, he can absolutely not turn back, because that would be bringing him back to life, and there's no resurrection magic. Candle says, I'm hoping the live show in Berlin is Liam DMing and not playing as Essek. Yes, a lot of people are thinking that. Don't know for sure, but a lot of people are thinking that based on how it was described. Biko says, I think his big payday is working with the Tachonis, and it was for the money so he could attend the school. Yes, but I don't think he would do evil for that, so I think he was tricked. He was told, like, hey, we're going to give you a ton of money, and you just have to do this thing. And maybe he wasn't aware of, like, what he was doing. That's where my mind is at with it. Yarn says, the paint might be the disguised blood mentioned in the letter to you. Oh, I 100% think it is. I 100% think it is. That's my belief, is that is the blood, but what blood is it? Is it filament blood, or is it blood from the well of Asgra that was at Tanazar? Maybe they stole it to disrupt, right? Like, that's what I'm curious about. Like, what blood is it if it's blood? Daniel says, maybe Theosophy didn't intend for them to use the paint at the theater. Also true. Mitchell says, also, why do you think Arcanists are the ones being hunted? Is it because they're the ones who are able to perform the ritual to bring back Celestials? I think it's partially the sorceress families want to be in control of magic. And so it's like, oh, let's lock people out of doing things. Let's, frame the people who are doing it that aren't one of us. I don't think there's been any, I mean, even with the stuff that we know about the Tachonis family, like they're very much like, we're special because we're sorcerers and we have this power and you don't, which is part of why Octus was shunned, because it didn't come naturally to him. He had to study it. He didn't have it innate. Murray used a homebrew spell. Which one was that? I think I remember something, but. Yo, what's up, Dane? Mr. Malicious says, honestly, the whole cold opens into ads, into intro, then proper show format promised me to crash before the intermission more than any campaign before. I could see that. It's one of the benefits, Mr. Malicious, of having Beacon. I don't see any of that. I watched the cold open, skip straight to the start of the episode. So, but I could definitely understand with you, like, all right, cool, it's time for Critical Role. And then it's like 40 minutes before you actually get into the meat of it. Like, you see a cold open, you get a like 10 to 20 minute break, and then you finally get into the thing. And it might be, I don't know the exact timeline, 15 to 20 minutes might be too much. It might be more like 10, but I can definitely see what you're talking about. Luckily with Beacon, I just skip that. I don't watch the ad segment. I know there's a lot of funny stuff in there, but I skip it because I got to take notes and I got to, it starts at 10 p.m. I don't got time for all that. The sister from the troop member is the maid whose head got spotted by Lord Einfasen. No, Rick. Because it was established that, one, her sister, as far as we know, is very much alive. But also, they're at a place here in Dalmakyar. The Einfasen estate in Dalmakyar, because how else would her sister be there that day? He was like, hey, will she meet me for dinner tonight? And she was like, yeah. She wouldn't be able to get from Riesengirdle to them in that time. So that's not, so you have the Einfasen estate with Lord Einfasen over in Riesengirdle. And then you have an estate here, right? They have the castle there, and then here they just have like a home in Dalmakyar, a representative like place in Dalmakyar. And that's where the sister is at, I'm pretty sure. Bull, who were you talking about? You said, I'm wondering how Demodus got away. Yeah, I'm also curious about how he did that. Connor says, I don't think Alex would want to make Octus fully human again. Also agree with that. Ravenclaw says, I live in Wisconsin, so the episode would end around 1 a.m. my time and have to be up at 3 a.m. for work. So I'm part of the Monday crew. That's when I'm able to watch the episode. I'm enjoying all the theories. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. No, yeah, I normally, before The Seekers, I watched every episode as soon as this ended. I immediately, I watched it at 10, watched it till like 2 a.m. And was taking notes and all that. The Seekers, I fell off and started watching like half of it, an hour of it, and then like finishing it up like the next day or across 2 or 3 days. I need to get back into knocking it out the night of and just freaking being able to get my recap out earlier, being able to get my review out earlier, because I was very late this time, very late. And the video suffered for it. Which some of it was out of my control, but yeah. Who's naive and doing the work? Yeah. Countergal says, okay, I like the idea. It could be he planned for the paint to open for the fairy. Instead, the Tachonis corrupted and boom, undead horde. Hey, Janet with another $5 super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate that. David also, evening to you as well. Welcome in. We don't know what the Aussie wanted how to tell Thimble. Is there any way that they could uncover that, or is it just lost? Have they gone over the idea of potentially using Speak with the Dead on Thiazi? Because once the Night Song is back in the city, unless they've given us a reason why they couldn't do Speak with Dead with him, she could use the Night Song to Speak with Dead. Yeah. All right, let me go back up to the chats. Thank you again for that super chat. For anybody else, guys, if you want to help support and you don't want to become a member or subscribe to Patreon, super chats are a great way to do that. Helping me continue to do this full time and put in the time to do this stuff. So appreciate that. Or become a member. Could the blood be from the last unknown shaper? Jay, maybe, but I don't think so. I think it's one of the two things. It's either Filament, which I'm leaning away from Filament. I don't think it's Filament. Or the Asgra from the Blood Well that was in Tanazar. Or it's something completely different. But I just don't know. Like, in my mind, I can't figure out why it would be blood from the last shaper. Like, I just can't figure out why that would be the case. I remember the new spell did 3d6 and left you incapacitated. Was it a homebrew thing? The thing that she used but didn't want to do all of it when she did it to Home Dude Grotto? Is that what we're talking about? That's true, Schnee. He was just like, help Murray. I think it's just with whatever she's doing at the Pentevral. Like, look out for her, help her out. In terms of magic, Parody says, part of the crackdown may be because sorceress magic is specialized by family, while wizards can learn anything and everything. Exactly. They don't want people to have these powers. Is there anything from Thiazi's final message to Hal that hasn't been fully explained yet? Has any of it? Hal, help with the paint. Why? What does that mean? Like, or get Hal the paint. Why? For what reason? Help Murray. Why? For what reason? You know, like, yeah, I don't know if any of it's been fully explained in my mind. Famine says, I think it was 34-minute last week between start of episode and start of table. Okay. Even with the breaks recently being under 10 minutes, I still ended up crashing, hoping I can stay awake tonight. Otherwise, I'll catch a recap. Sounds good. Excuse me. I used to watch new episodes on YouTube Live until they started playing ads every 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah. Which, again, could be a way that they're trying to push people towards Beacon. Again, that's just a random speculation from, like, business idea. Does anyone feel like the King of Timony is in danger? I think in terms of, so do I think that there's potential that that somebody like the Halovars or somebody will try to do something to him? Yes. Do I think him not being there at that moment was danger? No, I think he legitimately hopped on a horse and was riding around. But I do think there is danger around the corner, but it isn't that. Yet it says usually end up falling asleep around the break and try to catch the second half the next day on the replay. And that gives you some time too. Because you can kind of miss the first half of the episode, so. Maybe they can talk to Thiazi when Vela shows up. Yeah, Jason, that's what I was saying. I just hadn't seen this yet because I'm catching up on chat. I like how the dice helped enforce the fact that Azuni was essentially cannon fodder in episode 2. Yeah. Yeah, also welcome in, Captus. I enjoyed the recap and review videos. Thank you, Pico. Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed them. They were a bit late. We had a bit of a fiasco. About an hour after I posted the recap, which was late again. I was very late about it. And that was when I told myself I am watching the episode, or at least most of it, the night of, because I got to get on top of those. About an hour after I posted it, I ended up taking my mom to the ER, and there was a whole gallbladder issue, and there was surgery required, and that took so I was at the ER till 1 a.m. They moved her into a room to stay overnight for surgery the next day, and then they had to keep her overnight after the surgery, and so I was in the hospital for a lot of hours. And so then the review ended up not getting posted until yesterday, and all that. But she's home and mending, and all that jazz. But it was a hectic couple of days. So I was very behind. And the next thing you know, I'm right back. Like I said earlier, I'm right back in I'm like, oh great, we're right back to freaking the next episode, and I just gotta keep going. Yeah. Mary Melissa says, on top of that, I'm coming in late after work. Honestly, I should just wait until Friday mornings, but I've been almost current since year one. And yeah, I get that. Like, if you're current, you just want to keep up. Yeah, that makes sense, man. I get it. Care for NERDCORE, your age maybe starting to show. Oh, with me like cutting out early. Dr. Caliban says Theozu will probably be buried when the Seekers get back, so they would have to dig him up. Dig him up. Get the information. Personally, I think watching you on Twitch is the way to go. Plus, I like that we have more room for commentary. That's fair. Yeah, you can watch wherever. Again, I totally don't mind. Watch on TikTok, watch on YouTube, watch on the other YouTube stream I have for Vertical, watch on Twitch, wherever you want to watch. I'm happy with it. I appreciate you guys being here. Whatever chat you want to be in. Again, I have them so they all show up, but yeah. I was surprised the cast didn't put the Blue Lantern pieces together until Brennan just had it. Yeah, no, in my recap, I think I brought that up, and maybe even in the review, I was like, Brennan was like, yeah, you saw a blue flame go out. And you remember the words of the, like, he literally paired it together. He was like, remember the words of the illusionist savant who said the thing about reality starting with illusion or something? And the blue flame goes out, and they're like, what? He's like, the blue flame? And they're like, am I supposed to know something about this? And he's like, yes, it's him. Yeah, I'm sitting there watching it like, there's no way. I think the paint is stolen filament. I don't want to fall into that. But it happens. All right, sorry, I don't know why. That was such a weird way to say that. It could be true. I would say it happens. It could be true. I do agree with you about Beacon. It is so convenient to just skip over the ads after the cold open and get right to the episode. I have Beacon for the cooldowns. They go into so much extra detail and lore. Yeah, I think a lot of the cooldowns are good, and some of them I'm like, nah. But that's just the way it's going to happen. Daniel says, Azone seems very tightly wound in some ways and very unconcerned in other ways. How bribes his colleague and he doesn't blink. Yeah, that was a little odd where like immediately he was just like, he looked at his person. He's like, yeah, I'm going to bribe you. And Azune's like, all right. No question. Oh, what do you think about Julian's curse? I used to think it was because he was going to be an Echo Knight. Then he became a Daredevil, and I think it's going to tie to Theozu in some way. That's it. I think it came from spitting on his corpse during the Orcish ritual for death, and we're going to see, yeah. So that's the way that is. Yeah, she used a new spell, but did an Arcana check to change the effect to make the sound of the massacre. Yeah, all that stuff was interesting, and I kind of talk about that in my review as well. I think that's a slippery slope. That's a slippery slope in a D&D game to let people start using spells to do things. Not just use them for like things where like, oh, I'm going to use this blast spell. Can I use it against that object or like push that door open? Sure, that's fine. But literally changing how the spell works to a degree, I think can be a very slippery slope. But you know, it was still cool. Like I liked it. Grandpa, welcome in. Good evening, everyone. Looking forward to the new episode. In a previous recap or pre-show, you mentioned something about these are pre-recorded in advance. We know how far ahead they recorded. I think somebody said something. I think it was in an interview I saw, which, I still need to finish. I think it was Todd's. I think Todd Kenrick had an interview with Marisha and Liam, and they made a comment. It could have been an off-the-hand random number that was given, but she said something like 6 months ago when, and it was something, I can't remember. But now I'd have to go back and listen because I might be making it. She might have been saying 6 months since we recorded the overture, in which case that's not like crazy. I think they're probably 3 or 4 months in advance. I think that they're probably 8 to 12 episodes ahead, at least. But that's really just a guess. We have no concrete things on that, Grandpa. Daniel says, Gus is definitely in danger. They will need to save the king before it is over. I do think that they will eventually have to do something with him. I think the Ozzy wanted Hal to tell Thimble that he loved her, but that is just the vibe I get from what was said about the Ozzy and Thimble's partnership. Yeah. I don't know that there was a romantic thing, but love to some degree, some way of saying that, even if it's not like romantic love. In terms of Hal's bride, Pirates says, yeah, that certainly seemed like something has done probably many times before. Grandpa says, and do the other groups know what happens with the other groups? That also came up in the interview, and they basically said nobody is told they can't watch. So some people watch some people watch all, some people don't watch the others. Like Marisha said, she saw a lot of the soldiers, didn't see a lot of the seekers, and so like some of them know things and don't know things for others. But my guess, if I'm being honest, because it's such a produced thing now, and it's just a guess, pure speculation based on nothing, is that they probably get kind of like a fill-in sheet going into episodes. Like there's probably like a, hey, here's your sheet, look over this for the next 30 minutes before we start recording. And then they kind of look and be like, oh, okay, this is where threads are at. This is what people are doing. Total guess though. I'm making that up purely on speculation. YouTube ads during the live stream is a hidden setting YouTube turned on. Sierra's trying to turn it off. Oh, did they say that, Eugenie? Good to know. Good to know. I did not know that. I'm still waiting for one of the friendly gnome's daughters to show up. I hope they encounter one of the schemers. I also, Goober, would love to see them pop up, but I want it to be somebody from the soldiers. Wait, I watch on YouTube, but I have premium. Are there ads on the YouTube live stream if you don't? I think. Her mom was okay. Yeah, but she's recovering. She's recovering. It went well. All that jazz. Is there a cost to use Beacon? There is a cost. At $6 a month. US, I believe, Gene. I know I'm far behind, guys. I'm trying to catch up. Mr. Malicious says, are we gonna need to dig up a grave? Do we know what Hal wanted him to, his associates to do with the body when he snuck it out? I think it was, he told him where he was gonna bury it. So maybe he was gonna take it up there, or just hold on to it for the time being. Best wishes for recovery. She might be watching, so she might see that. All the times we've seen Speak with Dead via the stone have recently died. I wonder if going down the old path would make Speak with Dead impossible because of the reincarnation. Also completely possible, Eero. Best wishes, sir. Thank you. Late Schmate, I love new videos throughout the week. I'm on my heels completely. Thank you. $7. Yeah, it was $6 or $7 a month. Velos, what's your favorite food? The Aussie oats, no barley. Jean Lee says, very thankful for all you do in the rest of the chat to help decipher this for me so I can talk with my autistic son who's very connected to Critical Role. Thanks. Oh, absolutely, Jean. Heck yeah. Happy to help. Take some time off. Not sure we would all understand, so we just step aside for a bit. That's okay. Again, I took that time off and I got the review out. It was just late. And I'm able to be here, so all good. I wonder how often Belair has to change bodies. Yeah, I'm very curious in that too, especially because it seems he's like mistreating them. Right? He's not feeding them a whole lot, and he's in water and stuff, so like slowly dying underneath the mask. There'll be ads in the stream. Paint. Blood could be a code word, not actual blood. That's also true. Could be that they say blood, but it's not actually blood. Maybe it is paint, but like to be used in a ritual. And they're calling it blood because it's the blood of the ritual, right? Could be code. Was the last cooldown pretty cool? If I recall, you don't mention what happens in the cooldowns in your recap. I think I did early on in my recaps. And then I stopped seeing as many of the cooldowns for various reasons. But I think somebody else said the cooldown was good. I haven't seen it. So, like, I finished the episode Monday, recorded the recap Monday, and then the next 3 days were chaotic. So, I think letting a wizard change aspects of a spell, which they have spent time studying and learning to sex, and then make a roll to tweak it. The others are more innate, so no changing for them. I don't mind adjusting them in some way, and I love that he made it an Arcana check instead of just being, oh yeah, go ahead. So it shows you being able to do it. I just think it's a slippery slope where then people start to do some just absolutely crazy wild things with them that are like almost completely different spells by just saying like, oh, I'm gonna make an Arcana check. And that's where I think it can get a little wonky. Luis made a point of saying that he never watches the other tables. He doesn't know what they're up to. Yeah, I think that's cool. Rick says, what do you think about the 5 UA? Well, it was 4, right? It was just 4 of them. I think they sound cool. I've only done a deep dive into one of them. So I still have the rest of them to get a deep dive into. But I think they look cool. Noah says, just getting back from class, so I don't know if you've touched on it, but when do you think we see combat for this table? I hope you're having a good one, man. Thank you, Noah. I think tonight, but I also thought maybe last week. I'm more confident in tonight than last week, but yeah. Yeah, combat first 20 minutes. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be that, but I do think they're going to be on the hunt for Demodus, and it might be that like they find Demodus when he's under attack and they start to protect him, or like they find him but then people show up, that sort of thing. I do think that they'll get it. Time ahead. We also know that they are consciously planning ahead from when Brennan is going to be taking Tim off for being a supportive spouse. Well, he's doing that now. She had the baby like 2-3 weeks ago or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if we aren't 10 weeks ahead at least just for campaign 4 content. Keep in mind that just got other things. Yeah, no, they're traveling to conventions. What's his, Robbie was just posting on Instagram. That dude was off for like 2 weeks in Australia or something. So like he's not recording anything. The guy's literally out of country for 2 weeks. After coming back from a convention and now going to a convention. So more like 3 weeks. Which also shows us that they're definitely doing like, hey, for like a 5-day period, you're going to be in the office recording like 3 or 4 days a week. And then, you know, they disappear for 2 months and they come back and do it again, sort of thing. Yep, on basic YouTube for the pre-show. When they were talking about watching other tables, I was confused. Did they mean in person? The episodes don't air until months later, so I don't know how they would have watched. No, that's what I think they're talking about. Like in the interview when they were like, yeah, I watched some of it. I think Marisha was saying like, yeah, I watched some of the Seekers and I watched most of the Soldiers. Because the interview was recent, right? It was like 2 days ago. So at that point, they're all the way caught up to what they recorded several months ago. How many times did Taisha cast Guidance since the start of the campaign? She even cast it when she was dead. She casted it quite a few times, yeah. And then I think Azune's cast it a couple times. I mean, everybody always is trying to cast Guidance if they can. I mean, that's just, yeah. It's a hard thing because you never want to take it away from people because it's, you know, it's whatever, but it's a cantrip. But the flip side, because I had a DM do this, they were like, it's an action. It is an action. So like, unless you have the ability to prepare for it, you can't just be like, oh, they're in the midst of something. They did this thing and you're like, oh, I give them guidance. No, because it takes you 6 seconds to do that and they're doing it right now. So that's kind of how one DM did that. But then it's like, you only get to use it in a very specific situation. It's like, hey, I need to unlock this door. Cool. Here you go. I'll help you with that. It doesn't get used as much in social situations. So that's how, you know, some people are going to want to balance it that way. Some people aren't. Because some people just love to be like, everything gets guidanced. Everything. Guidance, but it is an action. So being like in the middle of a back and forth conversation, be like, guidance for your next 3 words doesn't make any sense. Like like when you think about it, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm not against the idea that you can't do it constantly all the time. Daniel says last week's cooldown was pretty good. They were going back over a lot of lore from earlier episodes because it had been so long since they had covered some of these things. Mitchell says, when do you think we will meet the professor? I have no idea, Mitchell. Maybe the end of this arc or after the groups come back together. Stormzy says, what do you think of the achievable dynamics for schemers as compared to the other groups so far? I like it. I'm gonna be honest. I think they have the best intra-group dynamics for a D&D team. I think the Soldiers opened things up, and so it was a little rocky at times, where it was like, okay, they're still trying to figure out who they are and what they're doing. Whereas I think the Schemers already feel like they have good chemistry, and they're playing a D&D game. So I like that. I think they have the best intra-table dynamics for the players. I think the player interactions are really good. The character ones are solid, but I think that they interact more, and it makes me like, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the Schemers when it comes to that. Slippery Slope. I noticed that neither Julian nor Velas used the help action to help themselves when dying, so I think adjustments are being made. Possible. But by the time we brought that up and some of us were like, oh, that seems silly, they had probably already recorded that. But it might have been them themselves noticed afterwards, like, yeah, that's kind of silly. I thought last one they said something about December. Yeah, during the Seekers, right? They had said something about recording it in December. Oh, on YouTube Jeopardy yesterday, he said his kid is 7 weeks now. Oh, wow. So they delayed, like, kind of sharing it with the world for a bit. Nice. Brennan helps those who helps themselves. Brennan was on YouTube Jeopardy, worth a watch. Yeah, I heard about that. I heard about that. If the players did a battle royale one shot right now, who do you have your money on? I'm betting on Tayor to win. With his rolls? Have you seen his rolls? What do you mean you're betting on Tayor? He wouldn't hit anything. If Thimble is still playing as is without fixing the things that are being done by mistake, it's hard to bet against Thimble. It's really hard to bet against Thimble. She can walk up and sneak attack any of the spellcasters one-on-one and then just fly away so the spellcasters can range her. But any of the melees, they're not going to be able to do anything to her. She's going to fly in as a swashbuckler. She's going to sneak attack them. She's going to fly back out. No attacks of opportunity. Yeah. Yeah. The best case would maybe actually be Cadigan if he gets like Wulfric to grapple, like hold action. She flies in. Wulfric uses an attempt to grab and grapple, and then they keep him on the ground and the two of them 2v1 her. Okay, my thing for that, Kalinga, would be, could you entangle in the air? She's not going to be on the ground. Would you, rules as written, would you allow entangle to be a space in the sky? Because she's not getting on the ground. If you assume that the players are 5'11", then she's going to float in front of their face. She's always going to be 5 feet up. So we'll see. All right. Let me catch back up since that went a little out there. I like the poll we did last live stream. Majorvius got it right, that there'd be a combat last week. We funded another poll, but I don't know about what. Well, there wasn't a combat last week. The way that Travis has been rolling, Terror would not make it. No, he would not make it. The way Sam rolls, he'd win out of sheer dumb luck. Also, yeah. Yeah. I've said it twice, but both comments have been ignored. Famine, not intentionally. Definitely not intentionally. I don't know. Maybe that's just like a YouTube mod thing. Yeah. Group dynamics. Belair and Murray are often at odds, but both realize they're a much bigger fish to fry. Yep. You can defeat them with a tango. I think Jolan would be a force too. Yes, but we also have to remember he's not getting hasted now. So what does that change? Right? We don't know about that. And yeah, that's true, Eugenie. It wasn't used during unconscious. On guidance usage, I'm definitely the kind of player who lobbied for permanent guidance, narratively justified as mid-definition Wizard's nervous tick. It's been a very fun time. So just all the time, like you forever get to add a D4 to yours. How do you do it for other people though? I don't mind you doing it to yourself necessarily, in a situation like that. But like giving somebody else guidance on their persuasion roll when you're just like standing off to the side, in that moment you're like, oh, you're about to say something, and you like, yeah. I just realized that the soldiers and seekers are currently on day 10 in game, whereas the schemers are only on day 4 based on how statement the play is meant to debut on day 11 or 13. Yeah. So, or 11 to 13. Yeah, basically it probably will go off right at the end of theirs or right when everybody shows back up in town and they all go to the play. We don't really know what the schemers can do yet though for a battle. I mean, kind of, Stephanie. We know what they are. So you can kind of piece together like subclasses and things like that. At low levels, a flying swashbuckler is dangerous no matter what. Like, she may not scale as well, potentially, we don't know, but at lower levels, 3 to 4, being able to fly in, sneak attack one-on-one because she's a swashbuckler, doesn't need advantage, can just come in, boop, got it, and then fly off. That's just so powerful. So powerful at low levels. Good deck save, so when she flies off and you try to, do something. Yeah. But spellcasters have some decent spells too, so, she probably doesn't have a ton of hit points. Based on the timeline, tables converge for house play. Yeah, it sounds like that could very well happen. Could very well happen. One way to get an audience, have everybody show back up in town. When Ashley rolls well, Valus is deadly. She could probably take down anyone else. Well, I mean, she's just a paladin, right? So basically, you're just banking on if I crit you and smite, yes. But Tayor can do the same thing, right? Like, if either one of them hits a crit and a smite, they can turn the tides of a battle like that. Thimble, if she crits with a sneak attack, is wiping anybody, basically, right? Like, she's going to end up doing, I think at her level, you know, it's going to be 2d6 for the sneak attack plus her weapon damage, and she's using a rapier in the main hand. Well, no, she's not gonna one shot, but either way, like, she has a lot of damage. A smite with a crit is, of course, that can turn the tide for any of them. Yeah. I wonder if Belair takes care of his body, they would generally be okay. Like, Tayor is worn for 4 months, but he's basically fine because he was fed watered. Not so much. He's not been fed watered. Flying in general, pretty powerful access. Change it. No, I agree. I agree, David, 100%. If he hides in pin, I don't think he can go in pincushion. Like, he can't hide in pincushion. The schemers have 3 casters and a bard. They are going to have a tough time in some combats. Agreed. Agreed. Now, luckily, like, warlocks can be, depending on how he builds it, and he has like a glass rapier, so I'm hoping or assuming that maybe he took some more, like, he leaned a little more into like the melee style. And then bards can go that way too, right? Like, if he went more like swords bard or something, he might be able to be a little bit more of that in the face sort of thing. And then now that we know that he is in fact more sorcerer than paladin, it is like, okay, Azune technically is going to be, you know, potentially wearing armor. He's wearing armor and has, you know, a good weapon, but he's not like leveled up in it. His hit points aren't going to be super high. So are we going to crit? That's true, Arrow. And depending on if Azune gets off a good spell first, right? Like, because he's a sorcerer, if there's some distance to start, then yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I agree that it's an odd bunch to be a group that gets into combat. 3 casters and a bard is definitely a risky one. But depending on how they built their characters, it may be workable anyway. Or Brennan's just going to you know, he's going to know that going into the combats and kind of give them things that they can work with a little bit better. She's a pretty selfish wizard ranger, and that apartment, and my wife also plays a druid who also has guidance. Guidance for everyone all the time. Can't confirm. Warlocks can be very good with a weapon, and a sorcerer paladin has some interesting stuff they can do. Yeah, I agree, Debbie. I think that there's some stuff there. About Bolair's bodies, Parody Steve says, I don't think Bolair's wearer had issues prior to him gaining his own providence and independence. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, like, we don't know, but from the flashback before he decided, like, I'm going to pursue my own path, yeah, it seemed like he wasn't, like, hurting them in any way. Famine says, Thimble flying in my DM brain isn't the difficult part. It's her attack and back away with that opportunity attack, so she's a lot of free movement. Well, no, well, I'm not talking about as a dungeon master, I'm talking about the other players trying to fight her. It does make it more difficult because of the fact that if you, let's say you attack and you move away without provoking, if you're still on the ground, they just move up to you. If you come in, attack, and get to go away without provoking, but now you're here, now your guy who normally uses a sword or does whatever has to shoot a bow at you or has to throw a javelin at you, right? Like those sorts of things. And if she just gives up her second offhand, like she hits the first one, doesn't take the offhand for a bonus action, and instead just uses it to dash, she can give you disadvantage on your javelin throw. So, yeah. Also, I realized something else about the timeline. If the Aussie was buried on day 4 when they possibly had the chance to speak with dead, the Aussie will have been buried for a week. Do we know that that affects anything, though? Brennan might make it, affect something, but it might not. I mean, if Pincushion was in a different location, could somehow Octus come back no matter what because of Pincushion? No, I mean, Pincushion isn't like a Horcrux. Like, there's not like a piece of his soul inside a Pincushion, to my knowledge. There are different ways to play a melee-oriented sorcerer. Multiclassing Paladin is one of them. Yep. I thought they took turns wearing the mask to minimize the damage from the mask. I don't remember that. That could be, I mean, it could be true. 100% could be true, but I don't recall that, like, top of mind. And now that I am caught up, I will throw it out there. First time I'm doing this, and we're freaking an hour and 17 minutes in. If you want to talk about Critical Role throughout the week and during tonight's episode, I have a Critical Role live chat channel in my Discord. It's linked in the description on YouTube. Join it. Talk with us. The conversations are normally flowing. People are having fun. So you can continue to discuss cool Critical Role stuff during the episode there. There's also the regular channel, the spoiler-free channel, that sort of thing. Not only that, if you want to support me making content like this, consider becoming a member here on YouTube for like $5 a month. You can support the channel, and you'll also get access to my recap notes every week. So you'll be able to actually see my notes that I write out for my recap videos. So it's basically just what's in the video, but in written format, so you can search through it if you need to and reference it. Or become a member of my Patreon, which will also get you that and some other goodies. So you can go over that. The Patreon is linked in the description down below. I think that's it. Oh, and if you have Amazon Prime, that means you have Twitch Prime, which means you can subscribe to my Twitch channel for free. You can just head on over there, twitch.tv/nerdcoregg. Amazon Prime, Twitch Prime, subscribe. Costs you nothing, and it helps support. So feel free to do that as well. Speak with Dead doesn't need a body to be fresh. You can cast it on a real old body so long as the mouth is intact. Oh, well, so that's the thing, though. Brennan may view it differently. He may also say that the ritual the orcs are doing prevents it, right? I could see, because I don't know if he, like, if he wants them to do it. So he may have, like, a reason, right? He may come up with something, and I could see it. Like, I could 100% see him being like, oh, you can't actually because of X, Y, or Z. And that would be fair. Like, as a dungeon master, I 100% support being like, this would mess up like a lot of stuff or whatever. And so you can use the fact that he went through an Orcus ritual that maybe protects him from being bothered and, you know, during death. It prevents him from being bothered. And I think that would be fine. Is the Discord chat free or part of the membership? It's free. Yeah, the Discord, you can talk in the Discord thing. It costs you nothing. It costs you nothing. Yo, what's up, Kaylee? Hello, hello. Welcome in. My TikTok messages are still coming in twice. So I apologize, guys, but you're going to see them all twice. Oh, Famine said, well, Sherry said, join us. Yes. Famine said, opportunity attack to grapple the flying thing. You're giving up damage right now, but if you grab, what's it going to do? Don't know if it's raw, but I allow it for martial classes or warcasters. Well, so that only works if, like, well, one, if she attacks you, you don't get an opportunity attack, right? That's part of the swashbuckler. It's like having the mobile feat. You attack. As long as you attack, you don't have to hit. You cannot move away from them without provoking. So the best case scenario is that they hold action for when you fly in and then attempt to grapple you with their held action. That's best case. Let's see. Baelis's version of Speak with Dead doesn't seem to be dependent on the freshness of the body. He spoke to Piscard and his body had been desiccated by the weird necromantic field. Yeah. I don't think a lot of that stuff matters. I think the only way that I see it, and I will say welcome Vince and Grandpa to the Discord. The only thing I could see is if Brendan doesn't want them to do it, he's going to say the ritual, like the Orcus ritual protects it, or his soul is somewhere where it can't be reached. Something like that is how I believe that they do that. Most of the time in these one-shot free-for-alls, they usually have traps and buildings that spellcasters can hide, fight him, causing them to go in close space, negating your trump card. Totally fair as well. Parody, you can mute notifications on a Discord channel you join so you don't get every one of my notifications. Yeah, that's also true. Also very true. A lot of ways to do it, but no pressure. I mean, you can join or you don't have to. You know, to each their own, I say. I'm just throwing it out there for those who may be interested. Is it true Brennan's version of Speak with Dead is very different from the one in book? Yes. Rules-wise, you're not actually talking to the body's soul, just acting what the body has seen. Not only is it different in terms of the mechanics, also in like description and stuff. So the one in the book, like you only get to ask 5 questions, and he doesn't care about that at all. There's probably not a time constraint like there probably is with the actual book one. You don't enter like a spirit realm in the regular one, and all that jazz. So it is pretty different. Yeah, so as written, rules as written, the corpse must have a mouth, and this spell fails if the deceased creature was undead when it died. The spell also fails if the corpse was the target of the spell within the last 10 days. It also says, so here's another thing that was drastically different. He was talking totally normal, giving straight up answers. He was speculating, he was hypothesizing, he was talking about the past, he was talking about the future. And this says, until the spell ends, you can ask him up to 5 questions. The corpse only knows what it knew in life, including languages it knew. Answers are usually brief, cryptic, repetitive, and the corpse is under no compulsion to offer a truthful answer if you are antagonistic towards it or if it recognizes you as an enemy. It doesn't return its soul to its body, only its animating spirit. So it can't learn new information. It doesn't comprehend anything that has happened since it died, and it can't speculate about future events. Speak with Dead, yeah, he does it totally different. And I'm not knocking it. Like, that's fine. But because you specifically asked, like, is it different? It's way different. Way different. Speak with Dead in campaign 4 is being able to literally sit down, chat, have like a whole back and forth. They're talking about the future, they're speculating, they're coming up with ideas for you, they're telling you stuff, they're asking questions of you so you can fill them in on what's happened since. They do it very, very, very differently. Very differently. The C4 Speak with Dead embraces critical tradition of whatever makes a good story. Yep, they go with that. Thank you, Biko. Speak with Dead. No talking to Dame Samurai, Scorpion Tail, destroyed her jaw. Brennan would have allowed it, I'm sure. He basically asked it, or maybe he was setting them up when he said, like, who do you want to do it with? Oh, this bit about spell will fail if the corpse was under the effect of the spell the last 10 days through the way of avoiding it working. Well, that would be assuming that somebody has tried to speak with the dead or has already spoken with the Aussie since his death, even though his body has been laying in House living room for 3 days. So. Campaign 4, Speak with Dead is full-on seance. Yeah. Maurice, welcome in. Are you expecting any real chaos tonight? I am. My speculation is that we will see they will be on the hunt for Demodus, and they will find Demodus, and there will be chaos as they try to, and then potentially combat as well. When it is discovered that, you know, they run into the other people hunting for Demodus Blix. How receive the body after someone cut it down? It's possible someone tried to question the Aussie. Yeah, I guess. I mean, we haven't been led to believe any of it or like know any of that, but you're 100% right that somebody in the moments before the body was brought to him or whatever, somebody could have walked up and tried. Yeah, could have happened. C4 Speak with Dead is more fireside tea time with corpse. Yeah, you get a lot out of it. So you guys have to tell me, because I don't know that I ever saw. Did they ever use Speak with Dead with Matt as the DM, and what approach did he take? Did he take the more rules as written approach, or did he let them kind of go back and forth and discuss things? I think it'd be fun, but probably not a D&D thing. Yeah, that would be really interesting, and I don't know. You already have a mask that like has its whole thing, so then having, oh, I have a familiar that I summon, because it's more tied to him than he is to it, right? Box says, hello, late as usual. Just wanted to say, Marisha always makes awesome characters. Yeah, no, Murray's done great. Goober wants to see a Halovar combat. Ooh, do you want to see them fight the hounds with like the glowing, like the back of their throat and that sort of sound that turns off magic? Because that would be a tough fight for the schemers if none of them can use magic. I know there were a few times in campaign 2 the Speak with Dead happened and it was by the book. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like that's the kind of like, when I asked that, I was almost positive that's how Matt would have approached it. Is that more cryptic, more rules as written sort of approach. Hal dinner meeting. Was his meeting at the 7 Stars or another restaurant? I think they were supposed to meet at the 7 Stars. But I'm not 100%. David says, I'm pretty sure Matt kept rules as written more in general. I don't remember specifics, but remember them coming up with 5 questions. Okay. Fight with Felonius would be fun. Yeah, him and his hounds. That would be interesting. I wonder if he'd even have more guards. Or if it would just be because I feel like him and the 2 hounds are probably tough. And if they can actually turn off magic, then... I want to know what Hal's Blade does in combat. I do as well. It might not do anything special in combat. Maybe it's just to help with like persuasion and deception because it's the Liar's Blade. I imagine it does have some sort of thing. Maybe it's just a +1. Maybe it does something. Maybe it has like a once a day ability. And maybe it's also going to work on that sort of like it levels up as they level up. But it's probably not crazy powerful right now. In terms of family man Hal, he seems to know several maids and female servants. I wonder how Tyson or Ellie feel about this. He's well connected. He knows a lot of people. In terms of the Speak with Dead, the D&D movie Speak with Dead sequence is hilarious. Depiction of the spell rules is written. Agreed. The D&D movie was good. I thoroughly enjoyed the D&D movie. Any good hypothesis for what will happen tonight? Like I've said a few times, I think they're going to begin to hunt for Demodus, right? They know Demodus is now the answer they're looking for. And they also know that Demodus is being hunted. So they probably want to beat the hunter to the prey. And so we'll probably see that. And then that will probably lead to a conflict with whoever they have hunting him, whether it's the actual Tachonis, maybe it's somebody hired, something like that. So I think that it's basically going to be a hunt, and they're going to try to beat them to do that. A random side note, my Saturday is going to be packed next week. Not this week, but next week. I'm going to run my game from 2 to 5 p.m. and then drive from there to the game I play in from 6 to midnight. So I'm going to be playing D&D from 2 to midnight, except for the 20-minute drive it takes me to get after I pack up my stuff and leave that game and head to the other game. It's going to be insane. The Soldier's arc lasted 6 to 7 days. Secret arc was 4 days. How many in-game days do you think Schemer's arc will stretch? I thought that people had said that they had somehow, because it didn't feel like it to me, but apparently they were kind of on the same number of days. Like the Soldiers and Seekers are both going to be like at that 10-day mark or something like that. Welcome in, Geeky. My guess is that it's going to take them roughly the same amount. I think they're seeking up the days because everybody's going to show back up in town. So you're going to need it to be caught up at that point, right? The soldiers are literally outside of the city right now. Like, they've been outside of the city for like 3 episodes. We got a cold open of them being like a day's journey out. WB says, I'm so happy to see Marisha play a divination wizard. I've seen a couple being played in my in-person games in the past, and it's very satisfying support class. Yeah, people have a lot of fun with that. Funny enough, the Saturday game this past week, the normal DM couldn't make it, so somebody else ran a one-shot, and one of the players played a divination wizard. What am I playing in my D&D game? It's relatively, we've only had like 4 sessions because we got TPK'd. Previously, I was a paladin, got TPK'd. I am now a swashbuckler rogue. I'm a swashbuckler rogue. Divination, my favorite class. So much fun and opportunity, and lets you challenge GM directly with some spells. Yeah. I mean, with the way that you can just choose the dice to be set up and all that stuff is really good. It's really good. It's powerful. Very powerful. Mr. Malicious, Matt has even told Brennan to honor the nat 20 responsibly, reasonably, or something. Yeah. So we've talked about it. I think I said it in one of my videos. I don't love that every nat 20 is treated like the most mind-blowing thing ever. Like, you get a nat 20 on a random skill check, and it's like you learn everything in the world, or like it just, they're all like, a nat 20? Oh my, and it's like, dude, it's a 5% chance every time you roll the dice. Some of these you have advantage on. You know, like it's... But to each their own. Do you play like Laura? I don't fly, so no. But I do, yeah, absolutely. I use it to my advantage. I move in, I attack. I move out, I move in, I attack and stuff like that. Have you tried playing other systems like Pathfinder or anything? I have played like a couple of sessions of Pathfinder total. I have played Shadowrun once. I have played DCC. I have played, you know, other versions of D&D like 3.5 and stuff like that. I have played Call of Cthulhu. I have played Hackmaster. Yeah. But I like D&D. You can come to Texas and play in a game with me and my friends on Sundays. Whereabouts? Because my buddy moved to Texas, who I used to play with, and he has not joined any groups. He's around Dallas. I don't think he's in Dallas. Like it's a short drive, but he's around that area. Yeah. I don't see the schemers fitting 6 days game time into 4 more sessions. No time consuming travel. Yeah, that's true. In terms of logistics of how they're going to get to day 10 and that time, yeah. Not related to anything, but my fridge is so weird. Set it to 5 and things are still warm. Set it to 6 and things are freezing. It's so hot in my room right now because it's been warm out. Like it got up to like 75 or something like that. It didn't turn on the AC, so it was like 78 inside earlier in this room with a computer on and lights, and it's hot. I'm sweating. That's Texas Sherman. I have no idea where that is. Is that anywhere near Dallas? My skills is not out of success. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. He has at other times. So it's interesting. So if he doesn't say like, hey, this DC is going to be a 30, and then you roll a nat 20, he might be like, okay, you just, if you only have a +5, you still didn't get it. Maybe he would do that. But on other times, yeah, it's like, the nat 20s are just and they happen multiple times a session. Multiple times a session, there's nat 20s, and every time it's like, whoa, and it's just like, It doesn't, like, I don't sit there, I'm not like upset about it, but I'm also just like, I don't, it is what it is. The next fireside chat is the head of Titmouse and the draw your weapons DM. That doesn't interest me at all. Like, if I'm being 100% honest, and I think that's probably how a lot of Critical Role fans feel. They want Critical Role people for the fireside chats. They want the cast. They want, you know, you have 13 people to choose from for it, and instead they're doing marketing. Right? Because that's what that is. That's just marketing for the new actual play that they put out. I guess you can ask the head of Titmouse about, like, animating the Mighty Nine and stuff. Animating Vox Machina, right? Those are things, but like most people are kind of like, meh. I'm gonna shoot him a message right now and say, I found you a D&D group on Sundays that are about an hour north of Dallas. We'll see what he ends up saying. As hearing nerds campaign stories. See, I always have a hard time wanting to do, like, talk about other D&D stuff on these because they're meant to be Critical Role pre-show, Critical Role campaign for pre-show. And then people come in and they ask me, like, what do you think about this D&D thing? Can you give me an idea for a campaign? And then there's all these people who are like, I'm not here for this. And so I want to talk about, so I love talking about my campaigns and my ideas. The cool stuff that has happened in my D&D game that I've run lately. Oh, it's been so, I've had two of my favorite sessions of all time in the last like month and a half. Like truly, like I would talk about it right now, but then I just know people are like, I'm here for Critical Role, right? And so it's so hard to do that. Yeah. Maybe the schemers will get arrested for scheming and sentenced to 3 days in jail. That way it can skip ahead. Yeah. As I recall, then this is an hour or two north of Dallas. Okay. WB says, I got to throw out Daggerheart in a short campaign. It's very roleplay oriented. Yeah, and that's what they intended, right? They said that a lot. What are the chances? Okay, answer that. Personally, I feel like if you can't hit something's DC even with a nat 20, you shouldn't call for a roll anyway. So I know why you're saying that, and I don't even disagree, but not the DM doesn't know every one of your skills, right? Like he just doesn't know if you have a +8 or a +10 when he says it's a 25 DC, and in actuality you only have a +2, right? So if he's just like, I'm not gonna ask for it because you can't possibly, you know. And sometimes it kind of gives that illusion of like you could have had an impact, and then you make the roll, you don't roll well, and you fail, and so it feels like it led to it when that probably was going to happen anyway. I want to see our content, not a bunch of people I don't know or care about coming from Beacon in the future. Yeah, so I agree. No, one, I understand them giving other people opportunities and doing all that, and I support that. I think that's cool. But like fireside chat, you know, everybody wants the fireside chat to be Critical Role, right? So now you're like, oh, let's show this thing and do all that. To me, I still think they really want to break away from the main cast being like what everything is about. But it also feels like, yo, High Velocity, thank you for the follow on Twitch. That is what makes Critical Role what it is. It's that there are some people who have parasocial relationships and people who just like, they love the people of that cast, and they've been with them for 3 years and 4 years and 10 years. They want to follow them, and they're not as interested in the other people. But that's just my read, and I could be completely wrong. Like legitimately, like I could be completely wrong. That's just kind of how I see that. King give up his throne. Might make it so he doesn't kill you or trying to. Yeah, no, I definitely understand that like a really high roll should have an impact. There's no doubt. They love Belair in jail. Oh God. I didn't like Draw Your Weapons. The story was interesting, but it was too cut and overproduced. Yeah. They tried something different. I don't hate them for trying something different, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is not for me. Crazy theory. Demodus and Wix X Armus are related. Is Armus a gnome? There was never mention of a gnome being Armus. I think the chat have a slow down. It's okay if we talk about other D&D stuff while I'm here for CR. I don't mind other D&D stuff. Yeah. Would you like to create a new channel for your campaign? You mean like a whole YouTube channel? Lord, no. Lord, no. I do wish I have not High Velocity. What is that? I do wish the algorithms didn't punish you so much when you cover other stuff. Because I do so much Critical Role, I published two D&D videos. One did okay, the other one did horribly. And then like my next Critical Role video didn't do as well. It's because the algorithm's trying to be like, oh, okay, oh, you post this, they don't care about that. And then you try to go back, so the algorithm stuff is just crazy. But I don't want to make a whole new YouTube channel to be able to cover like one other topic. That's why I made myself NERDCORE, to be able to cover all sorts of nerdcore content, or nerd culture content, not just one thing. But I have almost ended up doing one thing, at least on YouTube. I still cover like random stuff on like TikTok and whatnot. The algorithm is more individual video based and not channel based, if that makes sense. In a lot of ways, I feel like. Can you imagine the sights of taking off Belair's mask? Yeah, if they tried to arrest him, like, hey, take that mask off. It's like actually about that. Dano says the animatic depiction of Demodus is interesting. They make him dark skinned with white hair. Okay. Did we get an outright description of him beyond like he's a gnome and he's got his eyes? I feel Murray in jail would turn into a poker game with the guards. I could see that 100%, Stephanie. Hello, Sunken Train. Welcome in, welcome in. Mixed Delicious on campaign stories. I was looking at another content opportunity. You're right about it cluttering up the CR talk. Yeah, again, we talked about it a lot where maybe I go live one day and it's just like talking D&D and I just do D&D chat. But, you know, I got to find the time I want to do it. I got to find the time and be like, okay, we're going to go ahead and do a live stream where we're just talking about Dungeons and Dragons instead of Critical Role. We can talk about all of it, but like it's not the pre-show. Right, coming out sometime this year. Looks really cool, well made. Yeah, I haven't even heard of that. High Velocity. Mama Hunt says soldiers coming to town. Where are Belair, Murray, Howland? Oh, they're in jail, and then they have to free them from jail. There's a whole breakout sequence. Mitchell says Demodus is missing. Armus went missing before the beginning of the campaign. Coincidence? Alagar, Howland, Tasha's kid is also currently MIA. I don't think the Demodus thing and the Armus thing are related at all. Personally, I don't think they're related. Daniel says, I have enjoyed Draw Your Weapons. The announcers are stupid and should be dropped. The guest players are fun, but because they switch them out every week, there's never enough time with any of them. Yeah, they're not super long episodes either, right? And I think they wanted to try something kind of goofy and crazy with the announcers, but I think you're not the only person I think that have said like that part feels unnecessary. WB says, everyone gets back in town in time to be arrested. Could be an interesting new direction to start. Yeah, hey guys, let's have something completely new. Multiple channels for other topics. So back in the day when I first, like, I was still working and doing other stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna like make content. I had something called Level Up, and there was Level Up MMO. There was Level Up FPS. There was Level Up influencers for like covering social media news. I had like all these individual pages. There was just like TikTok channels and stuff, because sometimes it feels like that's what you have to do. Like, especially on YouTube. If I go and try to like do a review of like, I go watch something else nerdy, like I want to talk about a Marvel movie, you know, like YouTube's gonna be like, Critical Role folks don't care, so stop. Stupid algorithm for getting raw nerds. Exactly, Tessa. You mentioned the name change before. I didn't find that channel till it was called NERDCORE. What was it before? Before I was Heartbreaker, because I was a streamer. I was just I just streamed on Twitch. I just streamed me playing video games. So I went by Heartbreaker. Everything was Heartbreaker. I did a Level Up thing for a while, kind of on the side. Didn't, you know, but for the most part, I was just Heartbreaker. I didn't start trying to be a brand, if you will, which I still don't know if that was the right move. I didn't start being a brand until a year ago. March of 2025 is when, after like the job shut down and all that, I decided to pursue this. I became NERDCORE, and decided to do all that. I have a website, NERDCORE GG, but I don't like update it all that often, because the video stuff does better and makes more. So I think Critical Role's reach greater than just D&D in general. Obviously, they're overlap, but I feel like not everyone into CR is into D&D or the nerdy stuff in general. I don't know if I agree, because the bigger D&D creators, or even medium-sized D&D creators, get more views on videos than the Critical Role creators, right? So I think it's crazy, because 1 million people will watch a Critical Role episode within a month, but videos covering Critical Role, like the best, like for instance, I never know how to say her name, Laboufton, hers like get between 10 and 20K, her recaps. But 1 million people will watch the episode, right? But then like a D&D thing will get announced, and some creator will cover that covers D&D, and they'll get 50,000 views. So, or 100,000 or 3, you know, a Dungeon Master thing will get, you know, 500,000. So I don't know. I don't know if you've said it before, but what's your favorite subclass and class? I'm not really good with favorites at all, and almost anything. I tend to lean towards rogues, paladins, bards, and fighters. Rogue, paladin, bard, fighter. Brennan does give a description of Demodus that matches the animatic. Okay. If they're related, then it's going to be an insane turn of events. Perhaps Armus went missing because she was an arcanist. Ooh. Well, it could be that, but we also know that his family didn't want her and him to be a thing because they wanted him to marry this other person for some power thing, some power play. Do the schemers have to go there? Well, we said we thought they were missing, but like one of them just got taken to jail to be questioned about Demodus. So like that person wasn't really like missing, right? Parody about these 7 stars says, do the schemers have to go there every night now that Hal invited King Gus's sister there? Yeah, just to see if they can catch him. Famine says, thinking about starting to upload Pokemon stuff, but because my page is more adult, JRPGs and stuff like that, I need to start a second page to do so. Maybe, yeah. And then again, starting from scratch is tough because you can't get monetized until you have a certain amount of watch time, a certain amount of subscribers. And so you're putting out content for free until you reach that point. So maybe it's better in the long term. I don't know. Rogues are awesome. I do enjoy playing a rogue. I think there are certain situations though where like, depending on the game that you're in, doing stuff like sleight of hand, doing stuff like stealth, like you don't want to become a one-man show and like annoy your other people or your dungeon master by always being the guy who wants to like skulk off on his own. When I first started watching campaign 1, Liam did that a lot. And I think they finally kind of either Matt ended up hitting him and punishing him for it, or the players were like, yo, because sometimes I just felt like he would go off and it'd be just the Liam show for an extended period of time because he was like, I'll go stealth ahead. And then he would go do that. Yada, yada. Opinion. Yeah, David, we are getting close. We'll be doing this for another 15 minutes, but first I miss Dane's thing. Favorite classes. Yeah, it's really hard to pick a single thing. It really comes down to experience and character because the journey makes a difference. Yeah, there are some that I've enjoyed more because like I enjoyed the personality and what that character got to do versus just like, oh, I enjoyed the mechanics of that character, right? So that's a part of it too, because I could like cinematically when I picture certain things like makes me enjoy them more. I'm not a like I've never really done a spellcaster. Like I've never been like I'm a wizard or a sorcerer. So whether or not I would really enjoy that, I don't know. But yeah. Yuli, thank you for the subscription on YouTube. Oh yeah, I never told everybody. If you are new to the channel, or if you've been here before and you simply haven't clicked the subscription button, please subscribe to the channel. We are getting closer and closer to 10,000. I didn't think it would take this long because we were shooting up when I first started covering Critical Role, man. We were, but if you haven't already, we are getting close. Please subscribe to the channel and get us, if you are still here with these cities that you were talking about, playing in, he asked, do you know what city? And I have already forgotten, like Denison. Okay, I told him. Yeah, so click that subscription button. That would be mucho awesome. Opinion from Piratey. The CR episodes are 4 hours long. Takes an even greater time dedication to watch recaps, reactions, recaps, low watches to be expected in my own opinion. Yeah, but just in general, I feel like a lot of their content, like content talking about it, theorizing about it, all those sorts of things they don't tend to do as well. They did really well when it was launching. Like the Overture, my channel was freaking skyrocketing, legitimately. I gained like 1,000 subs in a month. Like during the Overture, when everything was new and there was so much to keep up with, people needed the recaps. They needed, like all this information to be explained. The Soldiers were okay, but started to trickle, and then the Seekers kind of flatlined for my content at least. Maurice, are you in my Discord? And do you have, if you have Discord, if you would join, if he can, or if he's interested in, if it's an hour away, if he's on the south part of it and it's even longer, he might not, want to do that. But that way I can potentially put you guys in contact, if that's necessary or okay. Try making a paladin rogue multiclass sometime. Ability of a rogue, survivability of a paladin, calling sneak a smites makes the rest of the table wins. Nice. Casters take a different mindset, but are fun for the utility and fireballs. Yeah, again, with a bard, I enjoyed some of it. But that's about as far as I go. Bard and paladin are about as far as I go in terms of the spellcaster route. That's just my preferred play style. I bet it's going to skyrocket again when the tables come together again. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I enjoy this stuff anyway. You know, even the pre-shows have had like ups and downs. You know, first ones were 140. I was hitting 200 viewers, stuff like that. Lately, you know, I might peak at 120, but then stay around 100. So it ebbs and flows a lot, and that's just part of it. But it's also, you know, sometimes maybe my thumbnails aren't as good or my titles aren't as good. So I need to learn YouTube a little bit better in that regard. But I also think some of the hype died off, and so that became a little more flat. So there's a lot of things that could be at play there. Anecdotally, the live viewership on YouTube has been much lower for the schemers than it was for the other two tables. I'm curious, even lower than the last like 2 episodes of the Seekers, because when I look at the VODs, like if I go to their channel and I look from like the overture till now, which it's hard because again they've had more time to generate views, but it felt like near the end of the Seekers, the next episode is like caught up, like they're not moving as quickly. My worry is that a lot of people fell off in the Seekers. Anecdotally, a lot of people have told me they stopped watching in the Seekers, but when I say a lot, I mean like 15 people. You know, like I don't know if the grand scheme of things. But yeah. Kyra says, you are definitely one of my favorite reviewers for Critical Role. Well, thank you, Kyra. I really appreciate that. Thank you. You'll probably get another spike if you're doing everything you need to know episode right before we go into the tables control. Yeah, I've thought about doing like a, get caught up here. I've thought about doing a video that's like, here's a shorter summary of the whole arcs for tables, right? I thought about doing what if, because right now my recaps are like 15 to 20 minutes. But what if I did here's everything you need to know in 5. And I did that like a day before, right? So I do my main recap, I do a review, and then I do a quick or the important parts recap as well. But then it's like, am I just making the same video 3 times? So I don't know. That's not what you guys are here for. Now we have more things to do. We got the Critical Role live streams. We got the D&D live streams. And then we got the Content Idea live streams, guys. I feel like YouTube recap and theory craft and newish content in general. I don't remember previous seasons having as big of a creator space. Removing live chat forced a lot of people to look elsewhere. Yeah, I mean, and some people appeared, right? Like I've never covered it before. Todd had never covered it before. I don't know if I always forget his name. Zodiac Bandit. I don't know if he had covered it before, but like, you have people who are now covering it every week, twice a week, 3 times a week that weren't doing it before. So definitely stuff there when it comes to that. David says, plus pre-Beacon, a lot of the side content came from them directly. I agree. Well, if they would let me do a pre-show officially for them, that would be dope. I think people are missing some of the silliness, and the campaign is a bit more serious. I agree. Oh, 100%. I think, especially with the Seekers, people are missing a little bit of the silliness. They are missing some of the above table fun, the in-game fun, and all that stuff. I 100% agree. I think that is missing. As I recall, last week's episode had about 14K viewers during the first half. You could do some more fun polls after the Schemers table. What table did you like best? What table had the best bad guy? What table had the best combat? Yes, I love that. Would those be live streams, or would they be me deciding on my thing? Like me just doing videos of me talking about it. People fall off mid-season on Critical Role in general from numbers of saying, yeah, mid-season, we're early. I mean, I knew there would be a fall off. I knew some people, like, they're not going to stay for 5 hours for the overtures and all that. I knew some people weren't going to hit it off with the first table, and some people weren't going to hit off with the second. But yeah, Close and Caves is doing a pre-show now. I didn't know that. I like them, but I did not. I had no idea they were doing a pre-show now. But yeah, so now you have 3 pre-shows going at one time. So that also kind of thins the herd for everybody. But then the videos, you have at least 3 of us doing recaps every week. So I know it's crazy thinking Demodus and Armus were related, but what I just realized is, why hasn't Hal talked about Armus's disappearance? I mean, he questioned Misha missing, but not Armus. Armus has been gone for a while, though. I think. I don't think Armus disappeared when the campaign started. I think Armus disappeared like 2-3 months ago. Yeah. You are hands down the best pre-show for Critical Role. I'm glad you think so. I really am. I mean, I'm sure people feel differently. Somebody might watch one of the other ones and love that way more, but I'm glad you guys continue to come back. I really do. I just can't stay up for the live feed and function at work Friday East Coast. Yeah, luckily, because this is what I'm currently trying to do for a job, I'm okay and able to do that. I don't have to like get up bright and early and clock in. Wick met Armus through Hal because Armus was part of Hal's theater troupe. Yeah, they saw them at the theater, yes. But again, that could have happened months ago. I don't think you need to do that many recaps, but maybe an extra one, 45 minutes, a day or two before they rejoin. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I like the idea of doing shorter ones. I think they would do better on TikTok. Like, I upload the same one to TikTok. So if it's 20 minutes on YouTube, I turn it into vertical and I put it up there. And they still do okay. I mean, they still get like 2,000, 3,000. But I bet if I did here's everything you need to know from the last episode in a minute, I bet it's just way better. So I might need to do that. Wickman already answered that. I think having a recap summary for each table for the comeback. I plan on doing that. I plan on doing 4 reviews and 4 recaps of the different arcs. WB, I don't think we know how long she's been missing. Critical Role going to Beacon exclusive chat has killed the Twitch stream numbers. Yeah, so from the outside, it looks like, oh, these things are down, these numbers are down, but we don't know the Beacon numbers. So, please do recap summaries. I don't remember. Fair enough. One thing I think less people tune in live is it's not live anymore. If the cast can't even bother to do it live, why watch it live? Plus, taking live chat away removes the community aspect. Yeah, I know the reasons why they're doing some of the things they're doing, but I think it does take away the magic to a degree. And I think that some people are reacting as such. They've been doing a pre-show. I didn't know that. Jason, I didn't know that. Me and the guy on the show, we follow each other on like TikTok and stuff. And he's in a Discord I'm in with creators and stuff as well. Robbie. It's Robbie from Cloaks and Capes. Yeah. Is Todd still doing one? Yes. He took last week off. He had a family thing come up. But he still does his pre-show. I'm pretty sure it's probably happening right now. Yeah. Todd still does his. I do watch all 3. Yours is when I try to make it to the live show. Hey, well, thank you. Luckily, I don't work Fridays. I can stay up. CR starts at 3 a.m. Oh, good Lord, Rubber Room. So if this starts, then when does the morning show the next day start for you? Would that not be an easier watch for you, or do you want to watch it when it happens? The stuff that Clap says, honestly, I prefer it being more serious. I want to see Brennan brutalize them to set the mood. I can enjoy serious moments. I can enjoy some drama. I can enjoy serious undertones. But like if I'm watching people play D&D that I know, like I've seen them have fun and be fun, and then I have to watch them for 4 hours, it's just not for me. Totally fair, it's for you, but it's just not for me. So that's one of the reasons, again, the Seekers are really hard for me to get through. Thoughts on the fan theory that Armus was killed and Tyranny was made out of her? I have been adamantly against that idea since I heard it the very first time back in the Overture, I think. I have been adamantly against it because the only way I see that possibly being true is that the 2 players played their characters in a way to intentionally not share that. And that just, again, makes it feel too produced. So I don't want it to be true because she saw the picture of her, of Armus, and she didn't react. And so they would have to be burying that lead so hard intentionally as players, as actors, That I wouldn't like that. So I'm adamantly against it. I hope it's not true. It would legitimately bother me if it came out that like, oh, Tyranny's Armus. I'd be like, all right. I hate that theory. Like I really, it would crush me. Thoughts? I just read that. It does. I still watch and like watching, but was so much fun reacting live with chat. Even when it was pre-recorded, there was a sense of community. Yeah, I do think that some of the magic went away, but I also think they were trying to drive people to like talk in the Discord. I don't know if it's worked as well as they want. And yeah, and they met at the show. So my initial thought was I would hate it, and then there started to be proof that I was like, yeah, that wouldn't even make sense, because they saw each other and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Gonzalo says, I really hope for combat today. Yeah, I said this last week, though, that I think I could see it. I'm more confident this week that there will be combat, but it's also like, we're all just speculating, right? It's all just us wondering what could happen. Yeah. To be fair, a lot of actual plays are pre-recorded now. Fewer and fewer are done live now. Yeah. Trying to think who's still doing live. Legends of Evantris is still doing live. Most of the other ones are pre-recorded. Some of them pre-recorded well in advance and then aired. Like they're edited by somebody across like months, and then they're like released, but they've been done. Like they've been done. So. Yeah, and we had the moment where Tyranny kind of felt like, it almost seemed like Tyranny was hopeful that Wick was kind of like being kind of romantic or something towards her. And then when he was like, I want to find Armus, she seemed upset by that. So yeah. Tabletop Notch is stowed. I don't even know if I've heard of them. In terms of combat, Pyrite says, schemers are good at social encounters. They may absolutely suck at combat, and a fight would ruin the episode. Maybe. So at the time, thanks for the, we are, yeah. Thanks for pre-show. See you in the Discord. Sounds good. Yeah, guys, if you haven't already joined the Discord, feel free to do it. It's linked down below. If you want to support, feel free to become a member here on YouTube or subscribe to my Patreon, link down below as well. Thank you, guys. We are going to wrap this up now. We are at 9:46. I normally like to give you guys 15 minutes to grab your snacks, set your stuff up. I also have to do that. So thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your night. I will see you guys next time. Look out for some content. If you see my videos, please watch them. Let them play all the way through to tell the algorithm that they are worth showing to people. That is a great way to benefit me. So thank you. Enjoy.